Hi everyone, in this short I'll be showing you how you could create this Apple-like carousel in Framer, all without using any code. Yeah, let's go. So when it comes to creating sliders in Framer, right, there are two ways in which you could do this. One way is you could go to Insert and go to your interactive and just drag a slideshow element. You could paste this anywhere and drag it to all of your elements you want, right? And you could expand it. We give this 800 pixels, and we could also add maybe padding of 90 left and right, so this would be more uniform. 90, maybe give this 56, and if you click on the play, then you have something like this, right? Pretty awesome. But then if you want to create something like iPad on Apple, where you have a custom slider and you could move this, you could change it, it could play and pretty much go to the next one. Something like this interaction we have here. So I'm just going to delete this, and if I play this, you can see this loads, then goes to the next one, and you could click this to go to the other one so as well, click back to the first, and so on, right? So that's what I'll be showing you today, how you could create something like this in Framer, a custom slider. Okay, let's get started. Well, the first thing you need to do is to understand how this would be structured. Well, I have all of my elements here, right? So the best thing I would advise is design everything, just keep it to one side, right here. Then drag in a frame. I'm just going to remove all of this, right? Drag a frame. This will be our component carousel. You could set this to fill, and you could give this maybe fit content. Anyone, doesn't really matter. Now for this one, add a frame. This we'll call this our carousel wrapper. Now in this frame, this is where we're going to paste all of our tab panel or elements. Just paste this inside, and notice there's a padding. So one thing I've done here is add a padding here, 90 and 90 left. I'll explain more on that later on. And we have a gap of 50 pixels. So I'm just going to paste all of them inside, and right now all of them will be stacking, so you can see it goes to the next one. We'll do the same thing for the third one. So third, fourth, we'll just do it to 5 for now. So 5. So now once all these things are done, the next thing you want to do is just click on this and change the direction, right? So everything is right here. If you click on overflow scroll, you should be able to scroll through all of this. But this is not what we want. We want it to be interactive, and the way we want this to be interactive is through a component. So remove your scroll, change it back to visibility hidden, select your carousel components, and make this a component. We'll call this carousel component 1. Right now what we need to do is create a new variant. I'm going to call this variant 1, and call this 2. And one more thing we're going to change here. If you notice, we had the carousel wrapper as fill at the start. We're going to change this to fit content, right? Well, hold up, click on your main one and change this to start, align to the left hand side. Now everything is normal back. And also remove the auto layouts from this main element. The reason for that is we'll be dragging the carousel wrapper inside the carousel component. So for number 2, we'll pretty much just drag this, move this. So I'm just going to select this, remove this, and just drag to the point where it is mapping the last part. Okay, I think this part will just be speed up. Okay, and we'll do the same thing too for number 3 and number 4. So duplicate, do the same thing for number 3. Just going to move this slowly. And number 4, do the same thing too. Okay, now we're just going to move the elements inside to the fourth one. And lastly, for the fifth one, we'll do the same thing too. Just move this to the fifth side. But this time, just set this to the last side, right? And that would work. And don't forget to rename this to 5, 4, 3, right? Now, one thing we could just do here now is to just set an effect, a cycle. So set a transition and say an appear, and we could set event of maybe 3 seconds, circle to go to the next one. So what will happen now is every time 3 seconds to go to the next one. So you can see 1 2 3, 1 2 3, go to the next one, 1 2 3, and it will keep on repeating like that, right? And if we notice, if we come back here, we want to have this sort of interaction too, so we could move this, right? The way this will be done is another variant, another component itself entirely. So what we are going to do is we're just going to drag a frame. We could set this up anywhere. I'm just going to call this 200 pixels, maybe 56. 56 is okay. Set this to 500 pixels. Give this a dark background and reduce the opacity a bit. Right, now drag this one inside here, align it to the bottom. You could set it anywhere. You could make it outside or any parts. Just ensure that it is there. So I'm just going to give this a border, right? And next is just change it to a component. This will be our tracker. Now for the tracker, what we want to do is we want to add frames inside of this. So um this would be 8 pixels. So maybe let's say 8 or 10 pixels by 10 pixels. Around those corners, we could add layouts here. So give this like 8 pixels gap. Auto fit. Let's say 12 pixels gap. Okay, 16. Yeah, 16 works. Now give this um slightly gray. So 1 2, so we have 5, so this will be 5. Now inside of each of this one, we also want to have another frame inside, which will be our tracker, or maybe progress rather, right? This should be set to relative 100%, relative 100%, right? Should be set to white 500 gap radius, and we could also set this overflow hidden. It should be set on start to 0%. So let us delete the rest and duplicate this. 1 2 3 4, right? So call this 1 2 3 4 5. Make this auto fit. right 32 pixels, 32 pixels. No, it doesn't really matter. I think 20 works. 20, 20, 20. And now for the first one, we just need to make it, let's say 30 or 35. Yeah, I think 35 works. Now, from this, we'll be creating variants 1. I'm just going to call this 1.0. I'll explain why. But 1.0, call this 1.1. All right. So what we'll do first is this would be 0%. Then on this part, it will be 100%, right? Then we'll create another variant and call this 2.0. So 2.0, this would be back to 0%, and this will be back to 10, but this now will be back to 35, right? So I'm sure you're getting it now. Do the same thing too, and this time this would be 100%. Now I'm sure you're getting it now, so we'll call this 2.1. Then we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate this. So this will be 3. Let's duplicate, and make the changes. So this will be 3.1, 3.0, 3.1. So this will be this will be this back to be 10, while the third one will be 35, and this would be 35, and the progress would be 100%, while this will be back to 10. So this would be 35, and the progress would be 100%. And we'll do the same thing to here. This will be 35, 0. This will be 35. Progress will be 100%. No, progress will be 0 here. Then we'll duplicate this, and this will be 35, and the progress here will be 100%. Now what we are doing is on page load, this would be like this, and on appear, after 0 seconds, it will start interacting on this, right? And from this, after 3 seconds, so set this to, let's say, 3 or 5 seconds. I think 3 works, at least so we can see how fast it will be for now. Then we could continue this and make it 0. Then from this, so the seconds would be like that. So this would be after 3, and this would be 0. Move the this should only link to the other ones, right? Okay, so remove. Okay, this should link to, supposed to be 4.1, 4.0, 4.1, 5.0, 5.1. Okay, and change this one to 4.1, sorry, 5.0, 4.1, Okay, so this would link to this after 3 seconds. After 1 second, this will link to this, and this will link to this after 3 seconds, and this will link to this after 0 seconds, and this will link to 5.0 after 3 seconds, and this will link to 5.1. This will link to 1.0. Now what we have here would be very fast, but you could see how this would work now. So I think we have some that are set to click instead of appear. So let us preview this again. So you can see it's pretty fast. What we need to do now is select all of the progress here, 3, 4, 5, and set a transition. And for this transition, we're going to set it in the same 3 seconds, and we could set it to linear. And what we have now will look something like this. Yeah. For this first one, let's set it to 0.1, so there'll be a delay before it starts. So yeah. So we've gotten this already set up, the progress bar, right? And for the events, we could just add this to this and call this interaction, say events, maybe on click 1. And add it to for the second event and call this on click 2. Do the same thing for the third one. So what we'll be doing would be, so like when you click on the progress by itself, it will go to the next slide, right? So we'll be doing that with events. So create another event and say on click 4, another one, say on click 5, right? So what we have here now is this, and if all should work well, this should um, follow suit. So after this, should redirect, should go to the next one, right? As you can see, it's going similar to the path already. So one thing we can do now is set this. So on click 1, set a transition for this to be step 1, and do the same to set a transition to be step 2, and set a transition for this to be on click 3 to step 3, on click 4 to step 4, and on click 5 to step 5. So now what we have now is we click here and click on preview, click on this, should take us to the next one. Okay, there's an error. Let's see where the issue is coming from, and click. Yeah, all should be working. Okay, one more thing we need to do to is when this is clicked, let's add aside from the event, let's add a transition. When this is click, go to 1, and when 2 is click, go to 2.0. Now this is why this will be helpful. So we would add another transition, not event. I would say when 3 is click, go to 3.0. When 4 is click, go to 4.0. And when 5 is click, go to 5.0. So now if we test this again, all this should be working. Yeah, yeah, all is working now. Yeah, so that's how you create a custom slider in Framer using just component. Yeah, thank you.